All right, welcome everybody to another session of James and Jay Dissects The Walking Dead. Today I should be covering Fear the Walking Dead as we wrap up the mid-season here. We'll be covering the last 3 episodes of the mid-season, so 3.6, 3.7, and 3.8, the mid-season finale. Before we get into that, though, a couple announcements. Our charity is still American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. If you guys can donate, please do. The link is down below. If you guys can't donate, we understand. What you can do to help out, though, is you can like our posts, share our posts, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on the Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. All that does help. YouTube especially, subscribe to us there, like our videos, and leave us comments if you guys have any ideas as far as how we can improve. Other than that, James, how's it going, man?
Things all right, man. I'm very impressed with the third season thus far. It really has the show itself has taken a dramatic turn for the better. So can't wait to get into it, and can't wait to actually get ready for the second half for the first time, huh? First time in a while.
Yeah, just like we're looking forward to the third season, we are still looking forward to it when they do eventually come back. So that's definitely a good thing.
All right. And we have plenty of questions, plenty of good questions. We will get to those, but like Jay said, we're going to review 3 episodes. We're going to try to do it in decent time and so it doesn't drag on, but because we do the 3 in 1, we did it before, and I thought, I watched it and I thought we did pretty well. Tons of questions. I picked the best 10, and then I narrowed it down to 5 because it was so many, just because we haven't been on. Remember, this was like a bonus thing that we're doing for everybody. We had to amp ourselves up to this season of Fear the Walking Dead because it is the sister show of The Walking Dead, and it is not as strong as The Walking Dead. But season 3 is right on the coattails of The Walking Dead at this moment, and I said it the last show. If you watch season 7, and as much disappointment as many people had, and so much so the showrunners have they have acknowledged that season 7 was a down season, and then they vowed that season 8 would be a completely different show, and they wouldn't have as many filler episodes, bottle episodes, character selective episodes, and they vowed it would be almost a different show. It would ramp it up 10 levels. So when you have the disappointment of season 7, and then you have such a great beginning of season 3 and Fear the Walking Dead, the shows are actually, getting closer in quality, and one's going on a downward trend, and the other one's on an upward swing. So it's like, you're starting to see, Fear the Walking Dead is starting to break out in his own identity. So, I was very happy there weren't too many bad episodes in the first half of the season, and they finished off strong. But it was incredible, and like I said, we have the questions. I'll get into the questions as we go along because they kind of are in the flow of the show,
right?
Rather than just hit you all with it at once. But what did you think, Jay, of this incredible change of events here?
Definitely getting more invested into the characters. I think The Walking Dead had a leg up just because of the comics. People were already invested in those characters. So with the Fear the Walking Dead, you're starting off fresh. There is no backstory. Right. You don't already know who these people are. So it's a little tough, especially when you already have something so beloved as The Walking Dead, to want to like this, But I think they definitely have turned the show around. I'm sure Kirkman and Gimple helping out over there has given them the right direction. I believe their showrunner's changing though.
Yes, Scott Erickson is leaving. So, and that's a big blow. Dave Erickson, he was the original writer and showrunner for Fear of the Walking Dead. and it's not that he was relieved of his duties. He's just taking on other assignments, other projects, and they're changing it. I do not know who the replacement is. Some people are saying it's Mark Richard, who wrote episode 2, New Frontier. Some people are saying, just by looking at the final episode 7, Mark Richard was on again. Mark Richard, he wrote a couple of episodes before for Fear the Walking Dead, but the most recent, like as I said, is you look at episode 2, The New Frontier, and you look at episode 7, The Unveiling. That's his quality of work. It's rumored that he may be the show writer. That's just a rumor. I don't know for sure, so I'm just going to give you the rumor that I heard. It could be Scott Gimple. Who knows? But Dave Erickson is leaving, so there's that.
So we'll see. But that's the 4th season, so we're still going to stick with him through the second half of the 3rd season here.
Correct. They haven't, and I'm reading it now. They haven't announced the new showrunner, but Erickson will leave at the conclusion of this season. That's kind of something to keep an eye on. If they decided that this was the final season, that's a disappointment. I don't think they will, because I've seen that they did get approval for season 4, yes. But when you lose your showrunner, it could change things quickly. But when they get approval for season 4, and you still have Robert Kirkman, as the creator of the show, he's not going anywhere. So, look forward to season 4. I hope that the momentum that they're getting, from season 3 isn't coming to a halt if they change a showrunner. So it's always maybe it's going to continue to go on the upward swing, or maybe it could take a turn back to, complacency. So I don't know, but I'm just going to enjoy this season for what it is, because I'm very impressed. And, I think my favorite thing about Fear the Walking Dead that's different than The Walking Dead is they combine the finales and the premieres together, and it gives you like this zombie movie. And, that's something different. So not only is it a different show, but they're getting their own identity. As I said earlier, they're starting to do things that are exclusive to Fear the Walking Dead. And, what a way to end the mid-season finale, man. Yeah. I mean, Jesus.
And they don't have the numbers necessarily to split up, where The Walking Dead can give you a setup episode, and everyone will still tune in next time. But for The Walking Dead, it's still, shaky grounds, where if they give you a setup episode, which might not have all the action you want, you might lose some of those numbers in for that finale. Correct.
They did have one filler bottle episode, and that was with that was 100.
Yeah.
And when you have an episode like that with Daniel Salazar, who was to me, that's my favorite character in the show, is Daniel Salazar. That was brilliantly done, because it was creative. It was all in Spanish. A lot of people didn't like that, but then a lot of people did. But it focused on this, this man who came back from the brink. He found a way, to defeat his inner demons and escape that fiery pit that he was actually going to kill himself. He gave up, and he was able to overcome that. And he just, that filler episode was remarkable. And it was just like, for them to have a filler episode, like Jay said, when they don't have that many characters and that many storylines, for them to actually squeeze that in and to be one of the best episodes of the season, shows you how good this season is. So,
he's on par with like Morgan on The Walking Dead, where you want to see that.
He is. He is.
But this is where they save themselves with later on, when we talk about. We'll get to that, but with Ophelia, they could have made that a bottle episode, and everybody be like, "Listen, we like you."
Yeah. And Ophelia, then they hit you. We're gonna get into that. Yeah. But Red Dirt was episode 6. So this was after Burning in Water, Drowning in Flame. And this was basically the further reveal that, Jeremiah Otto and the Otto family, along with other families, the founding families of this ranch, basically stole land from the Indians, Native Americans, and they they are showing the racism in a lot of ways toward brown people, and you notice that when they didn't want to save Luciana earlier, it gave you kind of hints that they were open to saving Madison, Nicholas, and Alicia, but they wanted to leave Luciana for dead. And they also were killing Mexicans. Troy was killing Mexicans. He was exclusively only killing Mexicans. And he said it in the episode 1. These people don't matter.
Yeah.
So you're starting to get the reveal that there's racism here, and I like it because as a black person, a mixed person, it is always black versus white, and you always see races. Even in The Walking Dead, you had Merle Dixon as he was racist against T-Dog, and it was black and white. This is giving you a little bit of change. Now you got other ethnicities. You got Mexican, you have Native American, you have white. So it's a different perspective from a different group of minorities that suffer from and it matches the demographics. So you have more Native Americans and more Mexicans, obviously, in the southern part of the United States and in Mexico, obviously. So to see a racism between Strand in the community wouldn't make as much sense as them against Native Americans and Mexicans. So I love this. And
I'm sure if he does make his way down there.
Oh yeah.
With the change of leadership that we'll see, we'll talk about later on. But if he was there with them, I don't think they'd take too kindly.
Yeah, they wouldn't take Strand in either. I think that this is a stereotypical, white male, from the southern part of the United States, very conservative. Very traditional values that he
kind of has a lot to deal with modern day.
It does, and it's
crazy.
kind of weird. It is, and it's very weird that they're depicting that, but it's also brilliant how they do it. It's almost George Romero did this. He took a lot of socialism and he put it into his movies and addressed the problems with society. And that's what Kirkman likes to do. He mocks George Romero, and he does it very well. Mm-hmm. But Red Dirt, very good episode here. Kind of a filler episode, but this is the start of war. And you're starting to see little, Madison is, she's doing little things, to make sure her family is safe. You see Troy, he's manipulating situations. As you saw at the end of this episode, he was responsible for the deaths of that family there in the trailer. Yep. You see Jeremiah, who he's further expressing his racism. You see Jake trying to find a different way to do things. You see Alicia after burning in water, drowning in flame. She had that that baptism where she felt alive again. So she's starting to see things how they are and on this reservation. You're learning a little bit more about the Native Americans. It was a good start and a good pendulum into this double finale. And it wasn't one of the stronger episodes, but it wasn't a bad episode. And it's like they haven't had that really bad episode yet that makes you say, oh, here we go again. They always catch themselves. And boy, how impressive is it, to swing into this finale? And strong points about it with the end, the reveal that Troy was responsible for the death and setting up for the Native Americans so they can go to war. Yep. But it's also in defense of his reservation. In Troy's mind, he's a psychopath. But in Troy's mind, he's doing, Madison is trying to convince him to do it for a greater good rather than to do it as a malicious act. And Troy is kind of conflicted between the ideology of either being malicious and just killing these Native Americans just as the fact that he can conquer these people, and what Madison is saying, doing it as a greater good, a purpose to defend this reservation from people who want to take it from you. So he's conflicted, and he respects Madison on a motherly level. It's also, I think, it's a sexual attraction to her as well.
It's very Oedipus Rex there, where
Yes,
a little bit of both there, but
yes.
she's playing him like a fiddle, and
She is.
you know,
And I think that and this was one of the questions was, the references of sexual chemistry between, Madison and Troy, and obviously Jake and Alicia. Well, Madison sees herself as Alicia as she's having a sexual relationship with Jake. And she even says to her, I taught you about the birds and the bees, it's not a good time to get pregnant. You have to fight your urges. Like, she's telling her because she's having those same urges, and she knows she's in this position with Troy, and she knows that Troy is younger, where Jake knows that Alicia is younger. But, Alicia's telling her, hey, look, I found birth control. I'm trying to be responsible. It's almost like a metaphor, that she's looking at, Alicia's relationship as a possible relationship with Troy because of the way she speaks to her, where she's sitting on the bed. So to answer your question, it's almost like Madison sees herself in Troy and Alicia and Jake, and that should play out more. And it proved it at the end of the episode, where Madison has that motherly talk to him, but also had a little bit of lustfulness in Troy's eyes.
yeah, and it's just playing every angle she can, because And her goal is obviously to keep the place safe, but her ultimate goal is to protect her family by any means.
Exactly, and she hasn't crossed that line like Alicia has, but they basically are doing the same thing. She told them to get in good with the family, and Alicia's taking it a little bit further than Madison, because Madison understands that if she crosses that line of intimacy, it's a different ball game. Alicia doesn't know that because she's still a child. So it's like Madison understands the game right now. That's why she's able to call Alicia out on what's going on with her. And she keeps saying, don't fall for him. It's going to cause mistakes. And it actually did. So, good episode. Leads right into the finale. Obviously, they killed the family. They killed the young girl. Mm-hmm. Found out that it was Troy. Troy admitted to Madison that, hey, look, I did it. Actually, it was Nick who said, hey, look, Troy did this. The Native Americans don't kill like this. They made an example. They wouldn't do this. This isn't them. And, he understand.
Pillaged it. They were taking things away from it, not just
exactly. It was kind of like and they wouldn't kill animals the way they did as well. Mm-hmm. So, we're getting into the finale, and Jake is now upset, and he's going to try to make a peace deal with the Native Americans at this point. And he goes over and he speaks to Walker, who is the leader of the Native American tribe there. And that's a funny name. You got a guy named Walker in Fear the Walking Dead.
Now, they don't actually call them walkers down there.
They call them cult. I forgot the hell. I don't know what the hell they call them.
The infected, or
yeah.
It's funny to see like different groups and how isolation from other groups across the country. Like people come up with different words. Where it's like a anthropology almost.
They call them the dead, and they call them the infected and the dead. Mm-hmm. And los muertos, as in Spanish, that means the dead. So, like Jay said, it's the different demographics, man, and that's a great thing that not everybody's calling them the same goddamn things. Mm-hmm. But Jake goes into make a peace treaty with Walker. We find out from the last episode that Jake was a lawyer, and he tried to talk to Walker before. Then there's the reveal that Ophelia is part of this, part of this group. They make an exchange. Obviously, we told you Madison had told Alicia, your feelings are gonna get you in trouble. Obviously, her feelings caused her to follow Jake because she was worried about him. That's what Madison was getting at. That don't get too far in.
Yeah.
They did a hostage switch. Ophelia comes back to the group. It's revealed that Ophelia already ran into Jeremiah. They have a little exchange. You don't know what's going on there at first. Walker's talking to Alicia and explaining to her, yeah, I killed. He shows her the helicopter they retrieved and said, yeah, I killed Travis, but you have to understand what they've done to me is the way you feel times 1,000. And it was just a great artistic moment there that, hey, look, who is truly the villain here? Is it the Native Americans? Is it Otto and his group? Could they both have a little bit of heinousness to them? It's The Walking Dead is brilliant for this. They try to give you an example that there is no right and wrong in this world.
Yeah, and I think the big difference is for The Walking Dead is definitely more gray, like light gray versus dark gray, where The Walking Dead, you have people like the governor, which is like, yeah, that guy's crazy, we should probably kill him. Negan, yeah, he's around the base with fast smashing people's heads in, and it's like you can kind of justify it, but they're definitely, on the dark side. Here, it's, I'm a racist, he's killing the Native Americans, but he's protecting his land. Native Americans, they should own that land, but then we'll get to like how they try to take it over, so they're pretty nefarious as well. It's like, oh boy, you're on a seesaw here, it's going up and down, and you really can't be on either side and say you're completely 100% good.
Correct. And it's revealed, obviously later on in this episode, they almost killed, everything goes south because, Madison wants to get her daughter back. She plays, Troy and tells Troy, hey, we got to go. They go on a Renaissance mission and they get Alicia back. They kill a couple of the Native Americans. This causes the Native Americans to say, oh, you guys broke the treaty.
Yeah.
And then they orchestrate where they send Ophelia back, and she becomes part of the, she comes back as if she's beaten. Obviously this is a ploy. Jake is released as well, and he's almost scalped, but Ophelia saves him. And obviously that's when they send Ophelia back. So it kind of like corresponds. And then we get into the next episode. That's the reveal that Jeremiah Otto was truly racist when he found, a tired and weary Ophelia after shooting at her a couple of times. He found her out in the desert and he told her, hey, look, walk in the shade and go to the shade and walk by starlight. And Ophelia was like, please take me back with you. And he was like, yeah, your kind isn't welcome there. You wouldn't feel welcome there. And she's like, why? He's like, you're brown.
Yeah.
And
let it on out there.
Just basically puts it just like, hey, look, man, we don't like your kind. Your kind doesn't belong here. Ophelia almost dies, and that's when Walker finds her, saves her life, takes her in, explains, the trials and tribulations between the two groups. So again, like I said, you have these contrasting groups at the time. Now you're looking at Jeremiah Otto and saying, look at this asshole, and you're looking at Walker and saying he's like a hero. But as Jay said, the way that they're trying to get back their land isn't the greatest things to do. And we learned that they lost their land. They had their land bought off of them. Sure, it was corrupt politics involved in that, but they still sold their land. And, from that point, the more the generations were looking at it and they were saying, hey, we got ripped off. We gave up this land. We didn't get, our retribution for it. And they wanted it back. And when the world went to shit, they decided that was the moment to take it back. So it's almost like, is that the right thing to do after you did sell the
Yeah, I mean, it might have been wrong, and they probably got ripped off like most Americans were back in the day.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and now there's no rule. There's no law of the land. You take him to court, you know.
Can't. And
So
that's what they really thrived on there. It's you guys took advantage of us in your type of court systems. You manipulated us into thinking that this was a good deal.
mhm.
And you heard Jeremiah say, "It's not my fault that they bought the land. They sold us the land for a bottle of beer, you know. But it is your fault because you know how your system works compared to these Native Americans who don't go by the same justice system.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, it's corrupt on Jeremiah and the founders' part, the way they obtained the land, but they did it where you know." The Native Americans could have educated themselves a little bit more, rather than just give into it. So it's like you got tricked, man. You know, all's fair in love and war. It's your bad. You know, people nowadays we get tricked into buying cars for more than what they're worth. I mean, it happens all the time. It's a salesmanship. So now they're mad. And then of course, yeah.
To some people, then there it is. You know, there's that gray area. Some people say, hey, according to the law, it's not yours, so you can't be, justified to be angry about it.
Yes. But then, as time goes on, they revealed that there were several times where the Native Americans said, hey, look, we need more for the land that we gave you. Can you help us out? And that's when Jeremiah showed he's being a dickhead and said, I'm not helping you guys out. And then that's when they got pissed and tried to take back the land. And Jeremiah had these people killed and killed more of them to make examples and hid skulls and all sorts of shit. So it's like, it's just such a big conflict between these two groups. Like Jay said, one side is right sometimes, one side is wrong sometimes. It's just like this just big conflict, and at the end of the day, it's gonna come to a head, and that's. Now you add in a group like Madison and her family, of course, is going to come to a head because now they're
it's a chaos. They're instigating everything.
that's the start.
They'd be happy with both groups killing each other and just left them with the farm.
And then of course Ophelia, there's a ploy where she's beaten up, and she's taken in, and she, they gave you a hint earlier. This was a question. Why did they let Ophelia into the kitchen? Well, in the beginning, Walker said to Alicia, you're going to work in the kitchen. You're going to do this. You're going to clean this and that. And Alicia said, am I a prisoner or am I a hostage? And he said, no, you're going to earn your keep. That's how we do it. That's the law of the land. So when Ophelia joins the reservation as a ploy, she instantly says, hey, look, this is the law. I helped out in the kitchen, but let me earn my keep. So it was easy for them to just put her in the kitchen so she could poison the soldiers with anthrax.
That was I mean, come on, guys. That's kind of like
you don't do that. Yeah.
That's a moment there where I was like, you got a prisoner and you're going to put them with their food. That's like number one thing. Was she going to take her to the armory too next?
Exactly. That's almost like taking in Dwight and letting him be in charge of the ammo with Rick. Oh, why don't you take count of our ammunition, Dwight, to earn your keep?
Yeah, perfect. You're on lookout. Make sure Nika doesn't sneak up on us. Okay. I would like to have seen a scene where maybe she snuck away or she snuck it in somehow.
Yeah, that would be better. Not just instantly like that. It's kind of. Like you said, it was a Jocelyn moment for all those who want to know. Jocelyn is Jay's Oceanside moment. Whenever we say that phrase, it's part of the show that just they threw in there that makes no sense.
It's almost forced for the sake of progressing the story or purpose of the story. So that's only one of the complaints I had about the past few episodes.
And that's pretty damn good because usually, compared to season 7, Jay was sighing a lot over there. So
yeah. Or go back to season 1 of Fear the Walking Dead. There's a couple scratch my head moments.
A lot of them. Mm-hmm. So season 1 was full of just dumb shit, full of it. Yeah. But now Nick falls ill. Walkers invade the reservation. Now Madison is pissed. She beats up Ophelia. She brings her back to the reservation with Walker. They decide, hey, look, it's anthrax. Your son he'll survive because he's young and strong, and you obviously know that Nick is a former drug addict, so he's kind of used to being, going through withdrawals, which is similar symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was also a Jocelyn moment. He recovered too quickly. Just recovered so quickly, and then he's digging up. He's digging up, skulls and stuff. How much energy can you have after suffering from anthrax that has just killed, several soldiers that are physically more fit than you?
Yeah.
How much energy can you actually have to wander around, dig up floorboards, dig holes, and find skulls without passing out? There's no way. So that was my Jocelyn moment there. Like, they gave Nick a little bit too many superhuman powers here. It's just like, I think anthrax is a little bit more serious than just a 24-hour bug here.
Yeah, it's not the sniffles. Take some Motrin, drink some water, you'll be okay.
Come on, man. You got like 7 of the soldiers are dying and throwing up their intestines.
Yeah.
And he's able to dig up, the remains of Native Americans. Come on, man.
Yeah, maybe didn't drink much of the coffee. I don't know. Yeah,
that was a Jocelyn moment. But you know what? He was the main character, so you can understand it. Obviously there was a deal between Madison and Walker to bring back the head of Jeremiah Otto. Madison reveals, she reveals to her kids just before she goes and talks to Jeremiah that she killed her alcoholic, abusive father.
Yep.
Because he was abusing her mother. She reveals that she's from Montgomery, Alabama, about 200 miles from Jay. Where are you at, Tallahassee?
Yeah, something Jay? Like that. Yeah. Montgomery's not too far away from us over at Birmingham.
Yeah. So, Madison actually had dinner parties at Jay's house since she was so close, before she started killing people. So just to let you know, Jay is, and Madison's from the same area.
It's an hour and a half south of us here, so it's not far at all.
And
so
course,
obviously, Georgia is just an hour east of here too. So
yeah, there you go. There's plenty of killers in Georgia too, and Woodbury. How about that, Jay?
Yeah, there we go.
So Madison reveals that she's from the South. Now that was another question. Is that the relationship between Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead? Dave Erickson said no. He said that it's a great idea, but there's no relationship between Madison and Rick. I think he specifically said Madison and Rick. It doesn't mean that she doesn't have a relationship with other characters in Walking Dead. And another thing that they also said was this doesn't mean that they're going to venture back to her hometown and possibly, cross paths or, somehow make their way to Washington. That could be a huge hint. My idea still is in play that they will become the Whisperers. Never know. But obviously, after she tells her kids this, Alicia's upset. And she goes in and she kills Jeremiah. She doesn't kill Jeremiah. She tells Jeremiah, hey, look, I'm going to give you the chance to kill yourself to save your reservation. Jeremiah says, get the hell out of my face. Nick comes in. He starts poking at Nick. Nick kills Jeremiah the same way his mother killed her father. Mm-hmm. Madison takes the head of Jeremiah to Walker. All seems okay now, but we don't know. It's kind of like a cliffhanger there. Another part of the episode we missed was Strand. He's surviving on his own. He finds his boat, Abigail. It's filled with walkers. He cleans it out. He talks to an astronaut. This was my favorite. This was my favorite part of the show, and this was I talked about this, and a question was, why the hell was this my favorite part of the show? Well, this is the most logical thing that would happen. You have astronauts. You have people in space. When the world went to shit, you still have astronauts that are on missions that are in orbit around the Earth, and the two biggest space programs are in Russia and the United States. So when Strand is talking to the Russian astronauts who are in orbit, they actually seen, the Earth go down. And he made a good point. He said, "Hey, look, man, it's not just happening where you are. The whole Earth is dark." And he goes, "I'm in my tombstone I'm in my grave right now. I can't get home.
Yeah,
I'm gonna die here." you know. And Strand was like, "You don't want to come back home."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's
At least
not,
you can sleep.
yeah,
No, you're not gonna get chewed to death.
it's gonna be, you're gonna starve to death, obviously, but they can easily kill themselves. I'm sure that they have ways that they can kill themselves.
Crack open the door. There you
Yeah,
go.
that's it. But it was such a logical thing that they put into the show. Hey, look, we actually are going to put in a realistic situation where somebody from space who doesn't have knowledge of this but can see the world shut down from a different vantage point. I think that was the most creative thing they did in this season.
And added to like the overall lore too.
Yes.
Where now we know for sure. I know we talked with Jenner, with other CDCs across the world, but now
Oh,
it's another reconfirmation here that
it's over
it's
for
over.
everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that was very well done. It answered everybody's questions. You got it from Jenner that the whole world shut down, but in this world of Fear the Walking Dead, they really didn't have that confirmation that it was all worldwide. And now they do, or at least Strand does. I like the moment where Strand burnt down his boat. It was almost like shedding of a skin there. We talk about that a lot too, where these characters shed their skins and become new people. I think that was Strand's waking up moment. As you see, he's kind of more combative. He's has more self defense skills.
Yeah.
So now he's not the survivor who can't defend himself. I think that he's learned that. I think he's gained that attribute to him.
It's very similar to with Daryl burning down the shack.
Yes.
With Beth, it's like where letting go of his past issues.
Yes.
And it is ironic that his name is Strand and the cosmonaut up there is stranded.
Yes, that's actually a very good Easter egg. You see, Jay's on point. But it's just the way that they're tying things in and they're putting little things into the show is very creatively done. I love it. But overall, question was, what was the straw? We answered 3 of them so far. One was a personal question of why I like that moment with the astronauts. A big question that I had, which was just for Jay and myself, was strongest points of the season so far, and then the weakest points of the season. So I'm gonna let Jay take this one away with his strongest points of this mid season so far, and then his weakest, and then I'll give you mine. So Jay, what do you think was the strongest points? What were the strongest points of the season thus far, and what was the weakest point of the season thus far?
That's a strongest, just better character development. I think they cemented Salazar, or Daniel Salazar, as just an iconic character now in the Fear the Walking Dead, but in zombie genre, as a whole.
Yep.
I like the dynamics of him and Strand playing against each other.
Yep.
The groups are separated, but they're different stories and they're interesting stories. Strand's another great character. I think Coleman Domingo does a great job with him. It's just fun to watch.
Yep.
And we have a Rick now. We have the leader of the group now. It's cemented.
Yep.
So we know who's taking charge and who's kind of leading the way. Before it was kind of murky, like what is the structure here? And like it ties on the show, there's more structure. It's not so loosey goosey where like the first season was. Oh, it sounds like a great idea, but it doesn't make any sense. That's okay, throw it on in there. This seems well thought out, well planned, and that could be attributed to Kirkman or Gimple joining, and they could probably give some oversight, a little more direction to the flow of the show.
Correct.
Casting's been pretty spot on, with the side characters there, the Ottos. I think that was great.
I agree.
So I would say mainly just the framework in writing and the other stuff, has been tightened up.
Hmm.
What's been weak about the show or the season? Not too much, really.
There you go.
You
That's a
know,
tough. Yeah.
when you actually have to start thinking about it instead of listing off one by one, you know that they've done something good here. Um, I would say walkers in general. Just haven't seen that many of them. You kind of lose the fear with the title.
Right.
But then again, it could be a double, entendre on, Fear the Walking Dead, where the Walking Dead are the humans, so fear humans. Um,
Yep.
and then there's been a couple head scratch moments in here and there, but other than that, they've done a really good job.
All right. So my strong points have been the artistic value of this season. I think that Jay hit a small detail on the head when he said Strand was talking to a man that was stranded in space. That's little things like that go a long way with dedicated hardcore viewers. Like little teeny details like that, Easter eggs that they put in there. I think the writing has been much better. The storyline is much more fluid. It's just it's is you can go even when you veered off into Strand and Daniel's storyline. You know what? It's still kind of like it still flows so well with the way the season is, and it's actually flowing together because Daniel's trying to look for his daughter, and Strand kind of knows where Madison and the group were headed. He knows that they were heading south. So, you they were heading north toward the border. I'm sorry, not south. So you kind of know that the two groups will eventually run into each other again. Whereas I think season 1, you had no idea how they were going to catch up with each other. But like Jay said, it's just very fluid. The writing, the characters, the casting of these characters, everything is fluid. Everything is well thought out. The storyline is incredible. It went away from this, this kind of like cultish Mexican religious stuff. And then also the failure of, Escape from LA into this brilliant, storyline of these survivors going into a realistic, a war between two factions, that are realistic factions, Native Americans and the white settlers who take it, and it draws you back to, the Oregon Trail days and cowboys and Indians, what you see on television. So they tied that in. Everything was well thought out and planned this year. And weak moments, I have to say Travis's death was the weakest moment of the show. It's just he has such a strong character, and you built him up so much. You made him fight 30, 40 walkers, and he's just like invincible. He's almost killed. He somehow managed to escape soldiers. He kills 30, 40 walkers by himself, and he's sitting in a helicopter and he gets shot. Like, what?
And it didn't seem like the story played off of that at all. Besides the one interaction, it's like you killed my dad. Well,
Exactly.
my family died too, so you were on kind of the same page.
How did this change the dynamics of the group? How did this change Madison, who was already on path to being, from her childhood to be? She even said it. Since I was a child, I've been ruthless. I've been cold-blooded since a kid. How did Travis's death somehow force her to become even more of a cold-blooded killer? It didn't. She was already on that path. It didn't make sense to kill him in that way. In fact, I think that they should have had an inter-family rivalry where Travis was the voice of reason and fought against Madison. That would have been even better. Like Travis taking, because Travis is also, he's Maui. So he would have gone in, he's a brown-skinned guy. He wouldn't have been welcome in the reservation. Can you imagine like Travis having to be let go of, and then finding Ophelia, and then Travis, Ophelia, and Walker against Madison, the Clarks,
like just
in the autos?
Scenario would be, they shoot down the helicopter, but Travis had to distract 20, 30 walkers away from the helicopter, and then he took off running. And they lost him in the woods.
Exactly.
Where did he end up? Now he's over there too.
Yeah, and that's even better. But I think that was a drop ball moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think another drop ball moment was, I think that this would be a great opportunity for them to have a webisode instead of these stupid passages. Unless I know they're going to bring back the passage, those characters, and they're going to tie them into the show somehow. But I think a webisode of what happened in the hotel, how it was overran, would have been outstanding. I think that's a drop ball moment. Just, I know that, you're supposed to put 2 and 2 together and say the hotel was overran from the sick people and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
but
someone died, someone bit somebody.
Yada. Kind of show that, kind of show it. But other than that, not many weak moments. Well, if you don't agree or you have your own weak or strong moments of the show, just let us know in the comments. But this has been a pretty solid season, and I stand by what I said. The first half of this season and having, strong episodes, and that's another question. Our favorite episodes. I have 3. That's the premiere, the episode 100 with Daniel Salazar, and the season finale. Both the episodes put together. So actually 4 episodes. I thought actually 5. Out of the 8 were stellar. So I think if you take this first half of the season and compare it to The Walking Dead's the complete season, I think this has more stronger episodes in this one half than Walking Dead season 7 had all year long. And I think if people want to argue that, I think that that's more of an emotional argument because of their attachment to The Walking Dead. And there's not many fans who are bigger fans than Jay and I, because we do love The Walking Dead and we're part of that entire universe. So it's like we can actually not have a bias. We would have a bias to The Walking Dead, but I think that season 7 is hey man, Fear the Walking Dead has a beat so far, and that's seeing where season 7 should have been. That's saying a lot, Yeah. Season 7 should have been awesome, and it wasn't.
And we're not saying Fear the Walking Dead is taking over The Walking Dead.
It's not.
Encompassing. We're just saying that season 7 compared to season 3 of Fear is up above season 7.
Exactly, and even the cliffhangers for Fear the Walking Dead. Here goes a question: what are the cliffhangers? Because I talked about that as well. The conflict between Ophelia and the Clarks now. What's going to happen? That's one. What's going to happen with the reservation and Walker's group? Remember, Troy is still alive, and Troy still, wants to decimate this Native American group. Jake doesn't. So that's 2. What happened to Luciana? That's 3.
Yeah.
What happened to Salazar? That's 4. What happened with Strand? That's 5. So and also what happened to the Passage group? That's 6. Mm-hmm. So it's like you have so many different things that can continue to happen. It wasn't like this mid-season finale was the end of everything. It was just a conclusion of a story. It was closure to part of a story, but it still didn't close the entire story, which is what we like.
I guess for closure, we could have seen the pirates on the Abigail as walkers.
Yeah, what happened with the pirates in general?
I wouldn't mind that, just being like, well, looks like they came here, tried to pillage it, and then they got swarmed and attacked themselves. Now they're dead. Just little stuff like that, little closure, but.
Yep. And it's something to look forward to, and it's a good short little break that we're gonna have. But now like last season, I think that it made the wait for The Walking Dead that much longer because the season wasn't as strong. But it's gonna make the wait for The Walking Dead that much shorter because the season is so good for Fear the Walking Dead. And I think that that's what they wanted to accomplish, was to make such a strong show as, a filler until you got back to the stronger show. So it was like, okay, and we know you missed The Walking Dead, but let's give you something to hold you over. And I think that they accomplished that with Fear the Walking Dead this year. That way it doesn't feel like such a long break. And, we're almost to Walking Dead. We're about 3 months away, and it doesn't feel like that.
And they
announced.
also with the double episodes, it was shrunk to what, 6 weeks then
Yes,
instead of the normal 8. So
yeah, but hey, guess what? I love that.
yeah,
I think that it's like watching a zombie movie when you watch a 2 hour
hmm
TV show. It's just like watching a zombie movie. So,
and like we talked about before, where we watching some of these Walking Dead episodes live, or
mhm,
week to week, and we left unfulfilled by the episode, so it kind of left you with negative perspective on it. Whereas when you binge watch it, you're like, oh, that season was better than I thought it was. It's because you don't get
they,
that, well, wow, that wasted a week. Definitely not
mhm,
looking forward to next week. Whereas, like, all right, that piece is set up nicely. Let's see what happens next. Then,
mhm,
after commercial break.
yep. And I think that was something that they accomplished that The Walking Dead has not accomplished yet. And just just knowing that they are creating their own identity as a show, and they're trying to do better, it really means a lot to the viewers, because now you're starting to invest your time into this show as well. And like I said, it's like a year long, TV, year long series now. It's almost like The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. You get a year's worth of zombies now. And I there's one thing that Jay said that Fear the Walking Dead also dropped the ball on a little bit, are the walkers aren't as scary. I really think that they need to make. I don't think the walkers have ever been scary in Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I think they need to make them horrifying. I think that they need to start to show these characters aren't as strong as they think they are, and these walkers are a threat. They need to run into a super herd and be kind of decimated. They need to have big character deaths by the walkers to show them that, hey, look, let's not lose sight of how dangerous these things.
And both shows where they downplay how scary it actually is to take like a knife to a walker's face.
Yeah.
Normal humans, and you can say, well, they've adapted. I don't know, man. If I killed like 20 wild dogs, the 21st one, I'm still gonna be like, this son of a bitch can bite me. I don't think I want to even come close to it.
Exactly.
And I think that fear is not present.
It's not a fear. It's like the fearless of The Walking Dead here.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with what Jay said. I don't. Whenever you have a threat of any kind, I mean, even in sports, you have a defense for a reason.
Sure.
It doesn't. Your team can play offense all game long and like to score, but you still need a defense to. You know what I'm saying? You kind of have to. You kind of have to play conservative too. You got to understand that the other side can attack. The other side can beat you.
Yeah.
You
Talk
can't
to
have
Atlanta Falcons.
exactly. So it's like you have to have some sort of sense to yourself that yes, I can kill them, but I still need to be cognizant that this is a virus.
Yeah.
And that if I make one slight move with my hand and I hit their teeth, or they actually one of them comes from behind me and bites me, my arrogance can get me killed, and I can end up one of them, and
just one grabs a hold of your shirt, pulls you down, and that's it. That's game over. Like why are people like risking? Like run up like, yeah, I get to kill another one.
Exactly.
Like, F that. And you see some of the times where groups like tired, but
Yep.
on my best day, I'm not gonna go with a knife. Give me like a long spear or something like that.
Yeah, and
Where if I mess up, I could still have room to escape, but not nonchalantly come up to it.
And the arrogance level of the characters are just a little bit not believable in my thoughts. I think that Nick has the right idea, Frank Delane, where he's not such a walker killer, but he's very logical. He understands that he has to, almost use them as camouflage, because he understands that the numbers are too great, that they are a threat. And it's easier to walk among them than to try to kill them in those numbers. And I think that, when you looked at season 3 of The Walking Dead, and when you lost T-Dog, when he got bit on the shoulder, and then you lost Andrea at the end of that season when she got bit. Mm-hmm. These were fighters. They had survived, at that time, at least a year. They had survived the Walker apocalypse, but it took It took a psychopath to handcuff Andrea, and it took T-Dog closing a fence for them both to get bit. And it's like that can happen at any time. And in Fear the Walking Dead, it just feels like it can't happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It just feels like none of this shit is going to happen to these guys. So I think that's where I think Travis should have had one of these main characters get bitten and have to deal with, just like the first episode, Travis's ex-wife, she got bit. That was good. But they need to harp on that. These things are dangerous.
Yeah, don't get cocky.
Like, Jesus Christ. Instantly they're walking around like in season 2. Madison had one of the pirates and she had the bag over. Instantly they're manipulating the walkers so they can make them walk around with bags. Like, come on, seriously? Like, you're in a zombie apocalypse. Oh, they're in an ocean full of walkers that are just floating. They're not dangerous. So it's just like they're never tested.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to see one of these mega herds come through, or a big enough herd where it completely destroys where they're at. And they have to you have to look at the walkers as a threat. And looking at The Walking Dead and, what the governor said, when he was part of that camp, we're not safe outside. A herd will come and they will overrun us. Yeah. You got these people on reservations and trailers and stuff, and they're just walking around. They're shooting guns. Nothing's happening to them. There's no herds coming. There's no walkers coming. They're off in the mountains somewhere. And it's like, what? What the hell?
Yeah. And when you do kill them, like, I always hate the kills where they're just holding them with one hand for a little bit, and it's just like, what if the zombie just grabs your arm?
Yes.
I mean, we're not sure what the actual rules are with the changing, but I mean, there's a walker who dug through Dale's chest. So they're pretty goddamn strong then, and if a scratch can kill you, you probably don't want your bare arm right by the guy's throat with an arm reach. That seems...
You don't.
Yeah.
And it's like we just said before, it's just you have to somehow make them scary in this show. I think that'll make the show take the next step when the walkers become scary.
So my question for you is, do you think they can pull that back?
You mean make the show scary in that sense?
Yeah.
I think they can.
Yeah.
No, I think they can. I think that we know the reservation is not going to be. I think what's going to in my prediction. Obviously, I don't know. I think they're going to lose the reservation. I think both sides are going to lose. Where they're going to have to relocate again. I think that's when you're going to find the survivors run into Strand and Salazar. I think the next location that they go to, maybe next season, they're going to have to fight for it. And I think they're going to have to fight to defend it from walkers. I think that's next season, maybe even the second half of this season, is when you're going to see the walkers become a threat. But definitely next season, I think whatever location they end up together in, whatever's left of either group, Strand, Salazar, or, the Clarks and Ophelia, whatever's left of these groups are going to have to come face to face with walkers. And I wouldn't be surprised if Troy was the catalyst to an outbreak, But I think that they can recover. If we don't see that in the second half of the year, definitely look for it in the first half of season 4. If we don't see it in the first half of season 4, it'll never happen. It's like you eventually gotta incorporate walkers into the show again.
Yeah.
So
it can't just be the two groups.
No, because that's how it becomes. It becomes redundant and boring, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So.
All right, man. So let's jump in predictions real quick for the second half of season 3. I think they'll keep on keeping on with the high quality, the episodes.
Okay.
What do you think? Where do you think they're gonna go with the story?
I don't think that they're done. I think that Walker, and the Native Americans, their main objective is to either get water. Remember, they used up all their water to put out those fires. I think that they're gonna have to put some kind of trade system in there. I think all is going to be okay at first. but I think that Troy is such a hothead and so unpredictable that he's going to screw it up. I think that Troy is going to take on his father's, his father said it. My one son is a crybaby pansy, and my other son is just like me. So I think that Troy is going to, follow in his father's footsteps, and I think he's going to continue this war with the Native Americans. He's not going to want to share with them. He's going to break the treaty or whatever agreement they have. He's going to screw it all up.
Yeah.
They're going to go to war, and is going to cause a major casualty in my mind. Somebody's not going to make it to the end of the season. Albeit Troy, Madison. I don't think Madison's going anything. I don't really think Nick is. I think Alicia's in danger. I think Walker's in danger. Troy is definitely in danger. Jake is in danger, and I think that Ophelia is definitely in danger.
Yeah.
I think we may have a moment where Salazar finally finds his daughter, and she's dead. So I think that can happen. I think Salazar and Strand cross paths again, but this time there will be a conflict there, and then they'll end up having to work together. I actually think that they're going to run into a herd. They're going to find another group that they're going to have to compete against.
Yeah.
I think that at the end of the season, we're going to get a reunion here, and it's not going to be a good one. And I think that the war is going to continue the second half of the year. So groups come into war and look forward to a bad reunion between the characters in some weird way. I don't think it's going to end on a good note.
I agree. I think Madison built Troy up too much.
Yes.
By playing games with his head, saying, you should be in charge, you should be in charge. Oh, shit, you're going to be in charge.
Yes. She didn't think that through.
Yeah.
She didn't think that through.
No.
And I think the father foretold it, that his son is just like him. So,
I think there's be conflict between the brothers. There's going to be conflict with Walker. Maybe they'll try poisoning the water. They're going to trade with him, for retaliation for getting all his, men killed from being poisoned with anthrax. It's a lot of bad blood. It's far from over.
You might have a Cain and Abel thing, with Jake and Troy. Cain killing Abel. You may have that kind of thing, where one of the brother kills the other one.
Yep.
And that can open up Alicia to taking a darker turn, even darker turn than what she is. It's a lot. I mean, they still have to come back to Nick walking with the Walkers again. I think that we're going to see that. Maybe Nick uses the Walkers to infiltrate somewhere. You never know. They can go a lot of different directions, but my prediction is this war is going to happen. You're going to lose one of these characters. I named the 5 characters that you could lose here. Again, it's Ophelia, Alicia, Jake, Troy, and Walker. I think they're all on the chopping block. Yeah. One of those characters is not going to make it. 2 of those characters may not make it, but at least one of those characters are not going to make it to the end of the season. And then, of course, you're going to have a really bad reunion between Strand, Salazar, and the group, or some sort of combination. It's not going to be good. But I don't see the season ending on a good note, because the mid-season finale ended on a good note.
Yeah, this is just too much unanswered questions. I mean, Madison forgave Ophelia?
Yep.
She almost killed her son.
Exactly.
So what if Madison kills Ophelia and then Salazar finds out?
Now you have a conflict between Salazar and Madison. It's gonna get good, man. But definitely mark my word, they do not like having a positive mid-season finale and a positive season finale. They don't like doing that.
No, this is the apocalypse. You can only be happy for so long. Exactly.
It's they try to make it as real life, and they try to stick to nobody safe as possible, and they like to give you hope just to crush it. Yeah. So, if you think about it, look at all of the Walking Dead seasons. The mid-season finale ends in the death in season 1, and then the finale, they get away from the CDC. Everybody lives. And then season 2, the mid-season finale, they kill Sophia, and at the end, they reunite and make it off the farm alive, all the survivors. Even Andrea, she's saved by Michonne, so that's a good ending. Mm-hmm. Season 3, they rescue Daryl, and they make it out. At the end of season 3, we lose Andrea. Season 4, the governor, he infiltrates the prison, and at the end of season 4, after all, they all come together, and even though it looked like a bad moment, it was a moment of hope as all of them are in the train together. Mm-hmm. So that was bad then good. And then season 5, again, Beth dies. It's the lowest point possible. And then at the end of season 5, Rick steps up as the leader of Alexandria and shoots Porch Dick. So it's like Ann Morgan reunites with Rick. So that's a good ending. Season 6, perfect example. They fight together. They beat the Walkers. At the end, well, we don't know what happens. We still don't know who Negan kills. No, we do. But but you see what I'm saying? Yep. They don't want to give you good, bad. They want to mix it up. So if they stay true to it, we're in for a rough ride the second half of season 2. So season 3.
Good.
Word vomit.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it either way. Definitely a lot of possibilities, a lot of good drama coming out of this group now.
Yep.
All right, man. You have any more questions or?
We basically answered. I answered the 5.
Good.
We had 5 more in-depth questions. I think we kind of answered it. The comparison between the shows. I'm only going to compare season 3 to season 7 because those are the 2 recent ones. Further comparison of the show is too much. I mean, you have too many seasons of The Walking Dead, and you really don't have much to placate on with Fear the Walking Dead at this point. So I think it's easier just to compare the most recent seasons. And I think we did that in the show. Another question was another. It was actually a kind of a big question. Was how this show will continue past this season. Like, will they continue to be in south of the border, or will they make it further north? And we got a hint on that when they said they wanted to go to the Rockies, where it was desolate and higher elevation. So I think that may be your next adventure, is trying to make it to Colorado there. So that was a good question. That showed that the person actually heard that in the show, and they said, hey, look, are they going to stay south of the border? Are they going to make their way? And Colorado is, you're going northeast. So the more north you go, the more east you go, you're starting to get, toward Rick and the group in Washington, D.C. I mean, obviously, Richmond and Washington are northeast of the south of Mexico. So I think that they're trying to give you clues that the group is going northeast. So that was a good question.
And, there's just more resources up there.
Yes.
Water, natural springs, vegetation. Mm-hmm. You don't have just desert, in certain places.
And there's also the CDC, which is in Georgia. And I think that they're going to come across somebody who's going to say, we need to get to a CDC facility. And maybe they find one of the, satellite, but and the people there tell them, you got to make it to Georgia. Georgia's the one that's up and running. Mm-hmm. You never know. But
I'd love to see that. Just not even have to meet Rick's group, but just see the CDC blowing up, being like, what the hell happened here?
And what a way, that would be an excellent way to actually end the show. Is them making it to Georgia and everything is hopeful, and then they get to the CDC and it's completely destroyed. And then a great way to reintroduce them into the Walking Dead world is to make them, the Whisperers. That would be incredible. But they gave you a hint there that they're going northeast. And like Jay said, there's more resources as you go north. And you never know. So it's definitely very good questions. Last question that we had was what else are we doing on the break? We're gonna have to sit down and we're gonna have to talk about it. We talked about another top 5. Jay and I will talk about it. The timing of everything. Right now is a little bit of a downtime for me, so I'm gonna talk to Jay about it. Maybe tomorrow or during this, after this week. He's got a busy week coming up for me. But other than that, next week, maybe we'll talk about making a top 5 show for everybody, like we said. Maybe we'll do the review of season 6 of The Walking Dead. That was an idea somebody gave me. Maybe. But definitely we'll talk about it and we'll let you know.
Yeah.
For now, we're going into a mid-season break.
A little hibernation.
A little bit of a hibernation during the summertime. So, yeah.
But we have some show ideas. But this goes back to why don't we just throw all these ideas out there at once? Because we want to make sure we have, our filler episodes.
Yes.
To make up, so that way it's not a 4-month, nothing from both of us out here. We'll have some ideas. I know I'll be busy coming up here for a little bit at the end of July, but we'll definitely keep you guys posted. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. We'll give you guys a schedule as far as what shows we want to do.
Correct. So another great 3-episode show. We kept it on a good time frame.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us. Again, thanks for the questions. I ended up answering more than 5. Like Jay said, stay tuned. If you do have access to the Twitter page, Facebook, Instagram, or you do see on the website, it will be posted our upcoming schedule. We are very close to Comic-Con and the trailer for season 8. We may do a show reviewing the trailer for season 8. That was something I thought of because Jay is constantly going to Comic-Con. He's constantly meeting up with all these stars and having them over for tea and crumpets and lemonade.
You have to, they get you into it by giving you free tickets and, press
free tickets
and everything.
Yeah. Jay is actually signing autographs at Comic-Con. He's going to be signing autographs next to Rick Grimes and Lenny James. So
my line's longer. It's weird.
But that was an idea that I had. I would like to do that, reviewing the trailer for season 8.
Yeah.
And predictions. That's actually coming up at the end of July. Stay tuned for that. Great show, Jay. Closing arguments for you if you want, but I'm all set, man.
Hey, keep watching for The Walking Dead. It's making its comeback. We're definitely looking forward to the second half. So thank you to the show, all producers and everybody who put this thing together and really got this show back on track to where really enjoy it, and that's a good thing.
Right, man.
But thank you to the viewers. Thank you for the questions. Any comments? Once again, if you guys can donate to our charity, please do. Every little bit does help. If you can't, once again, we do understand, but you can still help us out by spreading the word of our channel. All proceeds 100% goes towards charity. None of it comes to us. None of it goes anywhere else besides for charity, or maybe taxes. But besides for that, thank you guys for watching. Keep watching. Stay tuned for more James and Jay Dissects The Walking Dead.
Have a good night, everybody.
See you, everybody.